Coming up, has CIGA Design invented the case monster? Let's find out.
You know what you're gonna be? Blasted.
Hello and welcome back to Automatic Reviews. I'm Mark. This week's review isn't just one watch, it's 3 watches. Well, it's sort of both one watch and 3 watches. This week is all about the CIGA Design Magician, a watch that is transformable into 3 case shapes. A strap monster is a watch that can achieve a lot of looks by having compatibility with many straps. This watch is compatible with 3 cases, so would I call it a case monster? We'll have to look at that coming up. But before we get to that, I'd just like to let you know that I put up videos every week, and my goal is to focus on the best watches at all price ranges. If that sounds good to you, then consider hitting that subscribe button. And while you're at it, tap that little bell icon too, so you can be notified each week when my latest video goes up. Full transparency, this week's video was in fact sponsored. CIGA Design has reached out and provided me with this review unit free of charge and have told me that it's mine to keep. I'll just remind you about how things work around here. I will always tell you what I really think, regardless of whether or not the video is sponsored, so please enjoy this video with confidence. Spoiler alert though, I'm actually quite fond of this watch, but that comes down to the quality and value of the piece. I'll never praise a watch that doesn't deserve it. Your trust is the most valuable thing about this channel. I won't play games with your time or your money. All that said, if you do like this watch and find yourself interested in checking one out, then please do use the custom link in the description to go explore this piece on CIGA Design's website. I won't make any money if you purchase one, but it will let them know that my audience is interested in their watches. All right, now let's take a look at this watch. Here's a quick look at the unboxing experience. Firstly, there's a branded outer cardboard box. When it's shipped to you, it's also wrapped in plastic with the labels attached. Inside that box, the actual watch box is suspended between 2 foam blocks to protect it from dings during transport. Right away, the packaging is intriguing. There's some embossed branding and these little cutouts revealing the name of the watch, Magician. One thing that strikes me about this box is that it's heavy and substantial. It feels almost like a book. Getting the outer plastic off, you can see that those little letters which spell Magician are actually quite premium, presented in a raised metallic font. Pulling the box open, you can see the cutouts on the outer sleeve were actually isolating the letters of the name Magician from this whole slew of branding and text. It's a neat concept because to me it shows that the Magician itself is a distillation of all these brand philosophies. Another thing to mention is my theory about it feeling like a book was bang on. This is designed to look like a book. It's like one of those bookshelf safes you see sometimes. Inside we find a nice illustration of the watch. And then under that we have this. A really simple, clear set of instructions on one side. And on the other, we have the main watch unit, the 3 cases, and a strap all tucked away in protective foam cutouts. Really impressive presentation. Flipping to the back of the book, we can see they cleverly printed some information on the last few pages. They show off some of their design awards they have won, including the very prestigious GPHG award. You also, of course, have an instruction section and the warranty information. This watch features a 2-year warranty. The stainless steel cases feature a mix of blasted, brushed, and polished finishes. There are 3 cases and each one has a different length and width. The circular case is 46.2 millimeters across and 10.8 millimeters thick. It's 49 millimeters lug to lug and it has a lug width of 22 millimeters. The square case has the same thickness and lug width, but it's 44 millimeters across and 49.3 millimeters lug to lug. Similarly with the tonneau case, which is 46 millimeters across and 52.3 millimeters lug to lug. It has a mineral glass display case back and a signed non-screw down crown. Powering the watch here is CIGA Design's own in-house CD-02 skeletonized automatic movement, beating away at 28,800 beats per hour and featuring a 40-hour power reserve. This watch is equipped with lume on the hands only. Here's a quick lume shot. The dial of this watch isn't a dial at all, but an impressive view of that CD-02 movement as seen from the front. The indices are a combination of linear impressions pressed into the cog-like chapter ring, as well as numerals and hash marks milled into the outer bezel. The bezel itself seems to be held in place with Y-shaped screws, which all align perfectly. If they're not real screws, the illusion runs deep, as they appear real even in macro. The hour and minute hands are really unique polished hollow oblong shapes with generous lume application. In lieu of a seconds hand, there is this watch wheel shaped substitute, which along with the balance wheel brings life and movement to this dial. There is a polished applied CIGA Design logo at 3 o'clock. Covering the dial is a sapphire crystal. Water resistance is 30 meters. Included is a black FKM-style rubber strap with quick-release spring bars. 3 cases means 3 looks and 3 weights. Here they are on my flat-profile 7-inch wrist. On the included strap, the circular case weighs 97 grams. The square case weighs 103 grams. And the tonneau weighs 109 grams. This watch retails for about $689 Canadian, which works out to about $499 US. Is this a good value? Let's find out. Before actually trying this watch, I had a hard time wrapping my mind around how it might work. I wondered if screws or tools might be required. And then I saw the instructions and wow, it couldn't be easier. Let's say you've got on the round case, but you want to swap it for the square one. It takes just a few seconds. You pop the strap off and that gives you access to the buttons. You quickly depress the buttons on either side. The case pops loose and the main unit is free. You then align the crown stem cut out on the replacement case with the crown stem itself and then press them together. It makes a very satisfying clicking sound. Then all you have to do is pop the strap back on and in about 45 seconds you have an entirely new wear experience. Amazing. All right, now let's take a look at the lows, mids, and highs. The Lume has some upsides, more on that later, but it's not going to please people who are fixated on legibility in the dark. There is none on the indices and that will definitely bother some, so in fairness, it's a low. I really dislike when crystals have printing on them. I feel like this is one of this watch's only true aesthetic missteps. It might have been a cost-saving measure, and I can hardly blame them for that, but I would have rather they omitted that info altogether than have printed it on the crystal. "30 meters of water resistance is pretty modest. I generally prefer at least 50 meters for peace of mind. That said, I won't call it a low here because I think it's likely just a consequence of the modular case design. Incorporating a screw-down crown would have likely been quite an engineering challenge. That said, many watches get by with only 30 meters, and assuming it's an accurate rating, it'll be fine for most activities." All 3 of these case sizes are pretty substantial. It really depends on what style of watch you're looking for. This isn't a watch that has that sort of universal fit dynamic to it where you can assume that almost everyone will find it comfortable. For a 7-inch or larger wrist, I think you'll find all the cases wearable. If your wrist is less than 7 inches, you may find the tonneau case to be a little long due to it being about 52 millimeters lug to lug. I think whether you'll find this watch comfortable will be dependent on many variables, such as your dimensions and your preferences. I think the fit is chunky but comfortable, but you might not, so we'll call the size a mid. Legibility on this one is going to be a mid, because I feel like the indices are subtle and low contrast. It's not a low because while this watch wouldn't be useful in a tactical situation where time at a glance is a life or death matter, you can with an extra second or two tell the time quite easily. Besides, most skeletonized watches trade some legibility in exchange for the view. This one is no different, and I think it works, but for those that need high contrast timekeeping at a glance, this won't be for you. The mineral case back is a mid. I don't love them, particularly because when you set the watch down on its case back, over time the window to the movement is likely to pick up some scratches. It's only a mid though because they had to save money somewhere. A transforming skeletonized watch with an in-house movement and sapphire on the front for $500 US, something had to give. I mean, in an ideal world I would have preferred sapphire though, so I will call it a mid, but you can't have everything. With the naked eye, both the front and back views are quite nice on this watch. However, when you break out the macro lens, both show some visual weaknesses. The front is more cleanly finished than the back, which makes sense, but neither side approaches perfection. Again, though, we have to look at the price. Would I love stellar perfect macros? Of course. But this watch offers so much for so little, it's impossible to expect a hand-finished movement with zero dust on it. Especially because with a skeletonized movement, there really is nowhere to hide from the macro lens. I think considering most people will never zoom in on the finest details, this watch does pretty well overall, especially for the money. It's just not a macro nerd's dream, so my loss in that regard. The The transformation is quick and easy. If it didn't work as well as it does, then this wouldn't work as a design, but you can switch cases out whenever you want, and suddenly you're wearing a different watch. It's so easy and secure. I love it. Let's talk about the different cases. The circular case looks most traditional. It's a bit chunky, but I think of the 3 cases, it will be the one with the broadest compatibility with the most people. The square case brings a bit of uniqueness with that less common shape, but it also brings a skeletonized element of its own with those cutouts at each corner. I like how that plays on the theme. The tonneau is the least versatile and will be too big for many, I suspect. I find it possible to wear on my 7-inch wrist, but it's definitely for those times when you're looking for a really bold look. I plan on popping it on from time to time though, pairing it with a thick, substantial strap. The fact that I can even talk about case options is a high in and of itself. Very cool. Overall, this isn't a small watch, but in 2 of the 3 case designs, they keep the lug-to-lug distance really tight. It ends up reminding me a bit of the Seiko turtle wearing experience to some degree. On paper, that watch seems like it would be really large, but once it's on your wrist, that lug-to-lug really makes it wearable. The same thing is happening here, so don't get too spooked by the large case diameters. If you like bold diver designs and you're used to wearing those, this won't overwhelm your wrist. Some might find the lume underwhelming, as I mentioned in the lows, and that's fair because it's only applied to the hands and that center wheel, but I just have to praise how cool it looks, and it's bright too. This watch is unique at every turn, and that extends to the lume. I really like it. The crown on this watch is really premium looking. It's nicely signed and the knurling is super deep and angled. It just goes the extra mile toward making this watch feel special. This movement isn't hand-finished high horology, but it just looks so gorgeous. This is a fully skeletonized, in-house automatic movement on a $500 transforming watch, and it looks this good. I'm really not sure about the development of this in-house movement. I know the brand has worked with some Seagull movements in the past, but this is from a company that's won a GPHG award, so they seem to know exactly what they're doing. Great looking movement, and in my testing, it has functioned flawlessly. Not everyone will love a bold, skeletonized watch, but look at this thing. I think this is a really great looking watch. It's really striking and it definitely stands out, but it's also still quite classy in my opinion. This is the kind of watch that even a non-watch person asks you about when they see it on your wrist. It's just got tons of presence. This one really works for me. I keep saying it, but this is a transformable, fully skeletonized watch with a display case back and an in-house movement for $500 US. This is amazing. It's hard to compare this with other watches because there really isn't anything else quite like this out there, but this has to be one of the most impressive value for money packages I've ever looked at. CIGA Design really gives you a lot for the price they're asking here. So, I started with a question. Has CIGA Design invented the case monster? The answer to that is simple, and it's yes. This watch feels genuinely different depending on which case you choose. When you couple that with any strap of your choice, you can vastly expand your aesthetic options. We all love the option to change straps, and CIGA Design has taken that even further, and I say, why not? This watch is very versatile and has real artistic merit in both design and presentation. They had a vision and they delivered upon it, from the in-house skeletonized movement to the transformation concept. Notice I didn't say gimmick. This is better than that. It's a system, not a gimmick. This is the real deal. However, this watch won't be for everyone. It's on the larger side of the spectrum, it's got limited water resistance, and it's also not super legible at a quick glance. But this watch isn't about practicality. It's about having a super cool, skeletonized, transforming watch in your collection and not breaking the bank. I've always wanted a skeletonized watch, but they seemed like a bit of a risk. The inexpensive ones never looked that good and were sort of a half measure. The pricier ones were cool looking, but yeah, really expensive, and I always ended up spending my money elsewhere. This CIGA Design is what I would describe as the perfect first skeletonized watch. It's not a compromise visually, this thing's gorgeous. And when it comes to price, CIGA Design keeps things very affordable here. I'm really impressed with what they've done here, but I can't help but wonder about the future. It seems to me that CIGA Design could eventually offer add-on packs of compatible case designs. They could even do collaborations with different artists and people in the watch community for, like limited edition designs. Oof, that could be dangerously addictive. Like, it would turn this watch into sort of like a Pokemon gotta catch 'em all experience, so hold on to your wallets. I think there's so much potential here. I find this truly exciting. I'll be honest, before trying one of these, I had my hesitations. I really wasn't sure about how this review would go. My first impression was that it seemed a bit complicated and potentially finicky, but nothing could be further from the truth. This thing is simple, well-designed, and fun. I'm absolutely on board for CIGA Design's innovative ideas going forward. They've convinced me with this watch. So what do you guys think? Do you like this watch? Do you want one? Which of the 3 case shapes is your favorite? What about strap pairings? Which combo would you try? I want to hear about it, guys. Leave a comment below. All right, that's it. That's all. Remember to check the description for any relevant links, like where to find this extremely cool watch. And remember, while this isn't an affiliate link in the sense that I won't get paid if you buy a watch, by using this link, you're telling CIGA Design that my audience enjoys hearing about their watches. So if this video helped you to decide to take a closer look at this watch, please do use the link in the description. Till next week, bye-bye.